666. The truth behind the mark of the beast. You may have heard about the mark of the beast. Some people believe it will be a microchip implanted in the body. Others think it could be a barcode, PAN card, or digital identification technology. But here is something interesting. When the book of Revelation was written almost 2000 years ago, none of those things existed. So how did the first reader of Revelation understand the number 666? And here is a surprising part. There is a good chance they already knew exactly who it was referring to. Act 1. The word when Revelation was written. To understand the mark of the beast, we need to go back to the 1st century. At that time, the Mediterranean world was controlled by one superpower, the Roman Empire. The emperor was not just a political leader. In many places, he also worshipped like a god. People were expected to burn incense to the emperor as a way of declaring, Caesar is a lord. For many citizens, it was just a political ritual. But for the early Christians, it was a serious issue of faith. They believed that only God is Lord. Because of that, when they refused to worship the emperor, they were seen as a threat to society. Many Christians were arrested, tortured, and even killed. One of the most infamous emperors during this time was Nero. After the Great Fire of Rome in the year 64, Nero blamed the Christians. Ancient records say that some believers were burned alive and used as a torch in his gardens. In the middle of this suffering, a Christian leader who had been exiled to the islands of Patmos wrote the book of Revelation. His name was John, and in that book he described a terrifying power, the beast. Act 2. The mystery of the number 666. Revelation chapter 30 says the number of the beast is 666. In the ancient world, number was sometimes used like code. There was a system called gematria. In this system, every letter has a number value. That means the name can be written as a number. And this is where things become very interesting. When scholars applied gematria to Hebrew letter, they discovered something surprising. The name Nero Caesar, when written in Hebrew, add up to 666. Because of this, many historians believe that 666 might have been a secret referring to Nero. Why keep it secret? Because if a Christian openly wrote that the emperor was a beast, they could be executed. But if they wrote 666, believers who understood the code would know the real meaning. It worked like a secret message between Christians. And here is an even more surprising detail. Some of the oldest manuscripts of Revelation do not say 666, they say 616. At first, this confused many scholars, but later they discovered something fascinating. If the name Nero is written using a Latin spelling instead of Hebrew, the number becomes 616. In other words, both 666 and 616 may point to the same person. Act 3. The mark on the forehead and hand. Revelation says the mark will be placed on a forehead, right hand, and no one will be able to buy or sell with it. Today, many people connect this idea with future technology, but for Jewish readers in ancient times, the imagery was not new. In the Old Testament, God's law is described as being placed on the hand and forehead of believers. The meaning is symbolic. The forehead represents thought and belief. The hand represents action. So the mark of the beast may not only be a physical mark, it could represent loyalty expressed in both belief and behavior. Act 4. While Revelation talks about buying and selling, another detail that many people overlook is the economic pressure. In the Roman world, many trade groups held religious festivals. Doing business often meant participating in ritual honoring the god or the emperor. If someone refused, they could be excluded from trade network. That means they might lose their ability to earn a living. So for early Christians, the choice was very difficult. Either compromise with the system to survive or stay faithful and risk losing everything. Act 5. Why 666 still scares people today? Throughout history, every generation has tried to interpret the number 666. During World War II, some people believe it referred to Adolf Hitler. During the Cold War, others thought it represented powerful political system. More recently, people have connected it with things like microchip, biometric identification, digital payment system. However, most biblical scholars agree on one important point. Revelation was not written to predict specific technology. Instead, it's one about the system of power that demand absolute loyalty from people. Arc 6 Conclusion The biggest question. In the end, the message of Book of Revelation is not just a puzzle about a mysterious number. It asks a deeper question. In every age, there are systems of power that pressure people to compromise, to stay silent, to follow the crowd, or to place human authority above God. So the real question is not, what does a mark of the beast look like? The real question is, when you must choose between the convenience of the word and the truth, what will you choose? Looking at today's volatile world, I realize that the mark isn't just a future technology. It begins with the priorities we set in our heart right now. My advice to you is this: do not live in fear, but live in a watchfulness. Nurture your relationship with the Creator every day, for that is the one issue that protects you against any storm. A short prayer. May God grant you the wisdom to discern and courage to stand firm. If this video helped your faith journey, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notification. Also, leave a comment about the topic you would like us to explore in the next episode. Thank you for listening, and may peace be with you all.